Who's our champion, Megan, up at the Windsor plant that we love? Who's so cool? What's her name?
Name is Jackie.
Is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was always awesome. It's funny, we added a few school districts here recently in Maine and Indiana. I think I copied you on some of them. And every one of them said the Roush Ford tour was like the ones that pushed them over. Even Wilson School District in PA that went, they had a lot of pressure to go EV, but it just didn't make sense for them. They went propane. The guy was a huge anti anything alternative fuel after Ford and Roush. It was like, yeah, no, that did it for me.
That's
Alrighty,
always a very impressive
welcome
tour.
to our virtual webinar today, Propane Autogas for Municipal Fleets. We're going to get started in just 1 second. Just waiting for some more people to trickle in, and then we'll get going. Just some housekeeping up front. This webinar is being recorded, so just be aware of that. Additionally, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We'll get to them on a rolling basis, and if they're a little bit more in depth, we'll have a question and answer session at the end. So that chat bar could be found on your bottom ribbon. If you move your mouse under the screen, you'll see chat. So just enter it in there. And I'm guessing, well, it's 10:02, so let's just get started anyway. So good morning, everyone. My name is Ben Kessler. I'm the coordinator for Palmetto Clean Fuels here in South Carolina, as well as the clean transportation specialist within the energy office. As you can see, we work on a wide range of fuels, but today we're going to be talking about this one in the top left-hand corner, petroleum, or liquefied petroleum gas, also known as propane autogas. So just to provide a little bit of background on where the energy office is, we were enacted out of legislation that also created the Office of Regulatory Staff. The regulatory staff, you can find it in front of the Public Service Commission, working on rate cases, telecommunications, pipeline safety. They really do a wide range of activities. And then stemming from that is the energy office. And we'll get a little bit into what we do. And then even further from there is Palmetto Clean Fuels, which is then housed in the energy office. It should be known that we're not funded through the state. We get all our funding through the U.S. Department of Energy, through the State Energy Plan, in the Clean Cities program. So in the energy office, what do? We promote energy efficiency, renewable energy, and clean transportation. Of course, we're going to be talking about clean transportation today, but we do work in all these categories at the energy office. Technical assistance, if you're a government entity and you want to do a building walkthrough and energy audit, we can help you out with that. We can find ways to increase energy efficiency and renewable energy. We have a couple different financing mechanisms that can help you achieve those goals, whether they be clean transportation projects or upfitting an HVAC system. We do a lot of education outreach like we're doing here today, and we're known as the principal planning entity in South Carolina for energy. So we maintain a pretty large data clearinghouse of information. We also implement the state energy plan, of which one of those recommendations is lead by example, and we'll get into that here in a second. So what is Palmetto Clean Fuels? Palmetto Clean Fuels is a U.S. Department of Energy recognized and designated coalition. We work to reduce petroleum usage in the United States and increase alternative fuel use. Doing this increases, our domestic fuel security and our air quality. So a lot of good reasons to use alternative fuels. You may not be watching this in South Carolina. You may be in another state and thinking, hey, do I have a clean cities where I'm at? You might. We have almost 100 coalitions now, covering a large percentage of the population. So if you're looking for some local on the ground knowledge, really great resource to turn to. So coalition strategies, how do we reduce petroleum and increase alternative fuels? We work a lot with what we're going to be talking today, light, medium, and heavy duty vehicles to find solutions to transition to alternative fuels when there's new vehicle procurements happening. We work with, idle reduction programs with DHEC, the Breathe Better program to promote, parents and students not idling in parking lots when picking up children. That's one thing that we work on. Mobility choices and emerging transportation technologies like telematics and data analytics of vehicle movement is another thing that we're engaged in. And then also alternative fuel infrastructure planning, which we'll get into here in a second. So I talked a little bit about lead example, briefly mentioned it, but one of those top tier recommendations out of the 2016 energy plan was for state fleets in South Carolina to lead by example in terms of adopting alternative fuels. So I know we're talking about propane today, but I did want to highlight what our agency is doing. We are the first South Carolina state agency to procure an electric vehicle. As you can see, we have it promotionally wrapped with our Plug-in SC campaign. And this charging station here actually was done in on the bottom picture was done in collaboration with the South Carolina Parks of Recreation and Tourism. And there are 3 stations that you can find around South Carolina. So really great stuff going on here, and we're going to be using it as a case study for further adoption. And then South Carolina Department of Education is also leading by example in terms of propane. So they have about 217 propane buses. 78 of those were funded through the VW settlement last year, but they've been finding great success in lowering fuel costs and maintenance costs in using these buses. And I just wanted to bring up this picture here on the bottom. This was an event that we went to in Greenville last week that was sponsored by the Propane Education and Research Council. This student here in the middle, Jack Kendrick, saw that his classmates were riding regular propane buses and petitioned his school and the Department of Education for a handicapped propane bus, which was delivered just a couple weeks ago. So a really good story about a student who is now a clean energy hero in the upstate. So I talked a little bit about infrastructure planning. So we work with SCDOT and the Federal Highways Administration on alternative fuels corridors. Basically, these are some blue signs that you may now see along the corridors here in South Carolina. This sign specifically is just outside of I-26 in Columbia. But basically, they designate portions of the interstate that travel using the fuels here, like on the sign, electric charging stations or propane that you can find. So this was done out of the Fixing America's Surface Transportation Act of 2016 that Congress passed, and we placed these signs in 2017 and are updating as needed. So now let's turn our attention to propane. Propane is a really great alternative fuel that can be easily adopted and integrated into an already existing fleet with gasoline spark ignition engines. One of the main reasons why propane is cleaner than gasoline is because of chemistry. Propane only has 3 carbons while gasoline has 8. And of course, 8 is more. So there is more carbon emissions from gasoline as compared to propane. Propane is also a colorless and non-toxic gas. It goes up rather than say a diesel spill where it'll seep into the ground. So you don't have to worry about ground spills. Like I said, it's already easily integrated in your fleet, and there is some fuel cost and maintenance savings that I know Derek will talk about when we get to his presentation. So I just wanted to show before we look at some vehicles today is that propane really spans a wide range of vehicle classes, all the way from small engines here in Knoxville in this lower right-hand photo, all the way up to Class 7 trucks, like you can see operating here in some cities around the United States. And we'll get into Class 5 and Class 7 today, but I really wanted to show that propane can be integrated at really any point in your fleet. And we'll talk also about propane infrastructure. David Dangerfield on the call will be showing us some propane infrastructure here in a second, but it can be scaled to meet your needs. This skid tank here at the bottom is about a 2,000 gallon tank. And of course, you can see this one being trucked in by an 18-wheeler, a much larger size, so it can be scaled up. They're above ground tanks, so there's no need to deal with, diesel underground tanks that can lead to, some environmental problems that are very costly. Usually being placed on a skid, even this large one on the tractor trailer is on a skid and will just be craned into place. And it provides a resilient fuel source in case of emergencies. With hurricanes and floods, people may be trying to evacuate, long lines at diesel and gas stations. And so propane is a really great resource. And we've seen success here in South Carolina. Farmers Telephone was actually a recipient of one of our Green Fleet Leader Awards, I believe 2016. But basically in a hurricane, they were able to get out and repair telephone lines because they were using propane and did not have to wait in line for diesel. They were kind of the first ones up and ready to go. So just another image here of infrastructure scaling. This one here up actually in the left-hand corner is in Columbia, South Carolina. This is the Comet, the Central Midlands Regional Transportation Agency station here. And then down here is one station outside of Atlanta. So you can see easily scaled. These are two 2,000-gallon tanks and then that large 18-wheeler tractored in tank. So a lot of scalability there. And then I just wanted to provide some information and education. So you can head over to the Alternative Fuels Data Center. This is a really great website hosted by the Department of Energy. You can find a lot of case studies about cities that are using propane in their fleets. You can find stations, incentives for vehicle procurement, and ways to integrate it and connections to get it into your fleet. There's also fueleconomy.gov, which is run by the EPA. This is, you know, what you would find in the sticker of a new car, telling you how much you would spend on gas, how it is compared to other things. So you can compare vehicles here, trucks and vehicles, and it is a great tool. And I just wanted to provide my contact information. Like I said, my name is Ben Kessler. I'm the coordinator for Palmetto Clean Fuels and the Clean Transportation Specialist within the Energy Office. And here's my contact information. Please reach out to me with any needs, questions, or comments. And I believe I'm going to turn it over to David Dangerfield, who is standing by at a propane station. So David, are you ready? All right, I'm going to spotlight his video here. Oh, David, could you unmute? All right, you're ready to go.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you for having me here. This is my name is David Dangerfield, and I'm with Amerigas, and I'm talking to you from our working plant here in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. So this is a working plant, and I'll be showing you some infrastructure and Mount Pleasant Waterworks truck, an F550, that was basically purchased by them through Roush. Roush is on the call. They're one of our partners. They're connected with Ford, and Derek will talk more about that later on how a vehicle can be ordered and upfitted. But this is the F-150 from Mount Pleasant Waterworks. They come by and they actually fill here at our plant. And we have stations around the state, like Ben was showing. We have the school district all around the state, and we have 11 infrastructures in place right now to support the school buses. And it's very easy to fill, and I'm kind of going to go over some of those components. And the infrastructure I show you today, though, is just a mechanical, the lowest part of it. It doesn't have fuel management, but there's easily fuel management that can be put in to fit your needs. My connection would be to talk about the propane part to support you there. We have a national account department that focuses on nothing but autogas. So we service many customers from UPS, FedEx, the Nestle Waters, all over the country. And I'm the senior account manager here in Charleston, the Savannah, and in the South Carolina area. So let's do a walk around of the truck right quick. You can see that there's different configurations. This is an F-150. Okay, this is a 70-gallon tank. They are saddle mount tanks. They can go under the cab. It just depends on what your needs are, and that's something you would work with Derek and Roush when you go to order. It's a 70-gallon tank. All tanks would fill up to 80%. So the usability of this would be roughly about 56 gallons. Okay. This truck was brand new at Ford. And Roush upfitted it there at the factory. So it's all OEM and then delivered to the customer. And one thing I wanted to show, there's no cold starts with propane like you'd have in diesel. Propane is 105 octane. It's minus 44 degrees, and you will not experience any cold starts if you're in an area where it's really cold. The only difference on this system is based on when you turn the ignition, you turn the key. I've already turned it. Okay, it's going through, and Derek can explain more about this. It's going through its checks and balances, making sure there's propane in the tank, and then it starts up. So you can see that I turned the key, let go, and the engine started. Let's walk around this way. Truck. There's really no difference, other than the injectors that were put in. Derek can explain more about the engine size and the new availability of what's to come on the fleet. Propane is good for the medium to the school bus size. I'm a firm believer that there's a product for every vehicle, but we're really good with the medium size category. Let's walk over here to the dispenser. All right, what you see in the background is a 1,000-gallon tank. It holds 800 gallons. But the one thing I want to point out is the motor. The motor on this system is a much bigger motor than the propane industry is used to when it comes to a tank at a U-Haul or Ace hardware store. The differential pressures a little bit. The pump is needed to push the gas into the vehicle. So there's a lot of expertise that we provide to educate and put the right equipment for the right application at the site. This is a 5 horsepower motor. It could be single phase, it could be 3-phase, and there's all kind of safety features on the vehicle and on the dispenser, which I'll point out here once I go to fill. And like I said, this is just the plain basic equipment, but there's other equipment out there with the bells and whistles for fuel management. All right, with propane, it's minus 44 degrees. So being Amerigas, the largest company, we pride ourselves on safety. But so you want to wear gloves when you go to fill, and it's in a face shield. Okay. All right. As you can see, here's the nozzle. It's similar to a gas nozzle. This is what we call a gas guard. It's low emissions. There's not much gas that comes out of the nozzle once you release, but we still recommend that you use gloves. But any vehicle, this is one thing I want to point out, any vehicle that's manufactured from this past January, they have a Euro fitting rather than the Acme fitting, which is this fitting right here. Okay, and you do not have to wear PPE when you're filling. The nozzle will look like this, but it's a little different on the inside, and it's more like a quick disconnect. Basically, you stab onto the vehicle. There's no twisting and turning, and then you can fill. So basically, right here is where we're going to fill on the vehicle. Okay. I'm going to turn on the motor. I'll reset the meter. Squeeze the handle. There's a little clip. There is a little clip there, so you don't have to hold it. Now, all these tanks on the vehicle, they're 20 times stronger than gasoline tanks. They're 1/4-inch steel. Inside the tank, there's an overfill protection device, OPD. We fill all tanks up to 80%, so there's room for the gas to expand. But this OPD on the inside of these tanks will shut the gas, the propane going into the vehicle, so you do not overfill. Safety feature there. Go back over here. We do have safety features on hoses, pull away, in case somebody disconnects. This will pump about 8 gallons a minute. And it will stop when the tank is full. While that's filling, you can see we have a service truck here. Pretty much the same setup with the tank right here. And the main thing to point out is you don't lose any space in the back of the truck. That's about 24 gallons. We should be getting ready to stop anytime now.
Hey, David, do you mind if I interject with a question? Hey, David, I was wondering what a fleet might do.
Turn it off. Okay. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just had a quick question. I was wondering what a fleet might do if it has the Acme nozzle and it also has the updated nozzle. Do they have 2 dispenser hoses, 2 nozzles?
No, they are adapters. Hold on a second. Flip it around. Sorry. You see? There is an adapter. Okay, that's the Acme fitting. That's what a delivery hose from the back of a truck will fit onto. They convert it over into the Euro.
Awesome.
If a truck has to fill from the back of a truck, the vehicle, we do have some situations where we go and we fill school buses because they don't have room for a dispenser. So we fill it off the back of the truck. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you for showing me that adapter. That's really neat.
Yeah. Okay. But if you had a dispenser, the end of the hose would fit on here. That's about it. I mean, Ben, is there any questions? I mean, hopefully that helps.
No, I think you did an absolutely fantastic job of doing a vehicle walkthrough there. It was great to see that. It's not too much different than a regular F550 that you'd find with the gasoline tank.
Right.
So I don't know if you have any questions.
Let me go ahead and disconnect so you can see how easy it is. So basically, it's done filling. So you squeeze the nozzle. Okay, you see that little bit of hiss? Wasn't much at all. Then you unscrew it. Hang your hose back up. And this is what the Acme fitting looks like, which is a normal fitting on all propane tanks out in the field. But like I said, any new vehicle that's going to be ordered will have the Euro fitting. And you do not have to wear PPEs because there's no gas at all or even hissing that comes out of the fitting once you fill the tank.
Awesome. Thank you, David. And as you guys can see, this F550 is a true work truck. It's got a generator up here. It's got full upfit. So awesome stuff to show propane at work. Derek, I'm going to turn it over to you. Folks, we have Derek Whaley from Roush Cleantech, and he's got a presentation for us. So I will spotlight you.
Hey, David Dangerfield. It is in the name. That was a pretty exciting walk around, man. And you know, it's so nice to see someone who practices what they preach. You know, while I'm getting my presentation up, I just, you know, funny story. I was in a school district one time with a fuel supplier, and we were talking, we were getting after it, and you know, exciting all the way around. We got to the point where the fuel supplier was saying, you know, hey, this is a no-brainer. This is okay. No subtitles, please. Can you guys see it?
Hey, Derek, we're seeing kind of the presentation notes.
Okay, let me take this off. Here we go. Let's try one more time. Take two. Nope, that didn't work either. All right, settings. All righty.
I don't know if it's because maybe you have dual screens.
Might be.
Well, folks, as I was saying earlier, it wouldn't be a virtual webinar without technical difficulties.
True. This is true. Is that any better or no?
I mean, we could run through the slides this way if you want to just do it like this. I mean, we can like see the slides now, but when you flip the full screen, it shows us the presentation notes.
Yeah, that's usually not happened before. So,
Derek, I think it's usually a Zoom setting when you're sharing your screen.
Oh,
you
it
should be
is?
able to change it that way.
Okay. All right, let me see if I can. Better?
Better. Look at that.
Wow, Megan for the win. I love it. I love it. All right, so really quick, to finish my story. So we have a transportation director for a school district. We have a fuel supplier in the room. We have myself and the Bluebird sales rep, and we only do things in partnerships, which is why, you know, working with Palmetto, working with Amerigas, we no one can do anything alone. We always lean on our partners and our dealers, and Roush is kind of a team, right? And we work that way with our partners. And so he's in there. It's a no-brainer, no-brainer, no-brainer to the transportation director. He kept saying no-brainer, and so I was like, you know, somehow this is going to come back to bite. And transportation director looked at the fuel supplier, I won't burn who it is, and said, I just have one question. I was like, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. He goes, do you run propane in your fleet? Just got real awkward, real quiet. And he goes, well, before you say anything, I already know the answer to that, because the bobtail that comes and fuels up my house is yours. And I noticed that it's pretty much the exact same chassis as my school buses run, and you're running diesel, not propane. Anyways, we stepped in. Long story short, they ended up going propane a couple years later, but it was a powerful moment for me to the whole practice what you preach mindset. So, you know, Ben, when I see the electric, you know, car, you know, David, when I see the Roush, you know, propane powered F-Series trucks doing day-to-day work, it says everything, right? You can have the fanciest presentations in the whole world, but unless you're, you know, doing what you say, it just kind of falls on deaf ears. So thank you both for that. So I'm going to jump in because I've got 30 minutes and I'm going to try and keep it shorter than that. My name is Derek Whaley, and I work for Roush Cleantech, going on my 8th year now. And what a powerful historic automotive movement that Jack Roush and the team at Roush Cleantech have been a part of. With propane autogas, with natural gas, with electrification, hydrogen. I mean, we're doing so many exciting, wonderful things at Roush. So we wanted to give you guys a peek, 50,000 feet up, of who we are, what we're about, you know, why trust us, and who we are in the marketplace for automotive. So if you look at what's been done on the commercial application side with Roush, And you really have to look at what we're involved in. All right, so Roush globally is about 4,000 employees. We have 70 plus, 80 plus facilities across the world. Most of them are in the Detroit Motor City area. But as you can see, why would you ask? We have facilities and offices and engineering test sites across the world. It's because we do engineering and testing for everybody in the world, not just in the automotive space. And as you can see, mobility has where we got our specialty and our start. Same with motorsports. You know, that's really where Jack Roush's passion emerged from, was really taking high robust engines to vehicle technologies, putting them through the harshest duty cycle you can, which is racing, and seeing what comes out. We kind of applied that to all these different market segments, right? So you talk about propulsion systems to get rockets into space. You look at the oil and gas industry. You look at Disney. You look at military defense. All of these different things Roush has a hand in. And the most exciting part really is the mobility section of alternative fuels. So as a pioneer, really, for the past 40 years, this has been near and dear to Jack's heart, because at Roush, we stay, and Jack Roush is really where it trickles down from, but we stay technologically curious about the things that we invest our money into, right? So we don't have a passion if we don't think it can make environmental and fiscal sustainability for our customers, right? We really don't slap the name on it. And as you can see here on the left side, you know, our start with Propane Autogas, thanks to the Propane Education Research Council, we got our first our start in. But even before that, we've been involved with electric vehicles in-house, but then also for different OEMs across the country. We've built over 25,000 charging stations with the Blink charging stations around the country. We're doing a lot with hydrogen now. UPS, we also setting some land speed records because we do like to go fast here at Roush. And then e-mobility and the autonomous sector is probably one of our largest and growing sectors that are out there. So agricultural equipment, grocery pods, you name it, right? Waymo, Google Smart Car. So we're doing a lot out there that drives itself and has a pretty phenomenal electric propulsion system on it. So we believe in, there's not one size that fits all. We truly believe that every single fuel has its own special place. And today we're going to talk about where propane fits, and it covers a pretty wide, exciting variety. A little bit about Cleantech. We celebrated our 10th year this year. What's different about us, and David made a comment about it, is the OEM piece. So with the Propane Education Research Council back in, I think it was 2008, 2009, when they approached Roush, there was a lot of vehicles in the world running on propane. Actually, propane is the third most widely used fuel on the planet. It's the #1 alternative energy source for automotive combustion, and it's only growing, right? But what was different was it was all aftermarket systems. There wasn't an OEM that took it in-house, a municipal fleet, a private fleet, a Fortune 500 fleet, a school bus, right? No one could order this. It's like right from the factory, going through, shipped through, getting built, and then arriving just like a conventional fuel would. It was always, you know, drill into the intake manifold, slap on this to hack this ECM, and we don't want to do that. So we have a very clean OEM, EPA CARB certification, HD-OBD2 compliant through Ford Motor Company. And that does a lot for not just can we make it work, but how do we service, support it going forward. So we want to be able to cover some of those going forward today. The motivations for propane, and we really took a very long look before investing $50–60 million of Jack's money into Roush Cleantech, is okay, from an energy source, which is going to cover the most check boxes, right? We want to make sure that this has an environmental impact in a very positive way, right? If not zero, near zero. And then financially, equally as important, right? If you don't have a financially sustainable solution, that environmental piece is going to get sour pretty bad. You can't just subsidize things into existence. They have to make business sense. Energy independence, where does it come from, right? So for the first time in 75 years, we're energy independent, right? We are the Saudi Arabia of natural gases and propane. So we export billions of gallons, right, overseas. And you know, being someone who used to live in Pennsylvania, firsthand knowledge of Marcellus Shale and just the incredible amount of abundance of natural resources that we have in this country. And then we also wanted to make the duty cycle simple, right? takes a playbook, a page out of the NASCAR playbook, right? You can build the most complicated, robust race car, but if you pull into the pit, it's got to be up and back onto the road as quickly as possible. So you can't add all these different components and just to be able to make it go X amount. You got to be able to keep it simplistic, to be able to keep it on the road, uptime, availability, and all fleets, both private and public, can relate to that. So we wanted to keep it very simple as well. So this is kind of one of the options and really popular with school board members when we have the 30 seconds on a Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to kind of look at all of these, right? We're involved in all of these at Roush, right? It gives us a little bit of credibility, and we do believe currently that propane does check every single box. From adoption day one, not touching your garage, not having to make modifications, ease of infrastructure, scalability of infrastructure, the range associated with it. Cold weather is huge. The record right now is negative 55 degrees with no parked inside, no block heaters, plug-ins, none of it, starting and having 70-degree temperature inside the cabin. So pretty proud of what we've been able to do, and got to give kudos to the fuel. Propane loves to be cold. So liquid injection definitely changed everything. Range, I talked about it, maintenance, scalability. We'll get into these here in a little bit. So the scorecard, which is something we're very excited about, is here's where we are. So 10 years later, 37,000 vehicles on the road, over 1 million students are being taken to and from school outside of a year of 2020 safely on a propane school bus, right? This is what's changed dramatically. 19 out of the top 25 school bus markets run propane. It's about 50% of everything Bluebird builds now is a Roush Ford engine that goes into these school buses. Over 1 billion miles, and we've got over 2,500 customers and growing quite rapidly in all these different spaces. So commercial, this is what we're looking at, okay? Coast to coast, a lot of people don't realize this, but this is a very powerful footprint. And this is a municipality, this is Nestle Waters, this is Schwann's, this is all the different delivery companies, paratransit, you name it. So this is where we currently are. And what I love most about this, and this is what we do at Roush, when we do land a fleet, that fleet is now a working partner, right? We rely on them. Hey, what can we be doing better? But also, they get quite passionate and they tell all their peers. So while we can explain and offer product and information, we can also say, hey, oh, are you in the airport shuttle business? Talk to John Groden at Colonial Airport Parking. Oh, you have a scissor lift, commercial trucks at the airport. Talk to Haycor. We've put some F-750 scissor lifts out at the LA airport, and they're reducing tremendous amount of emissions while getting the job done and saving money, right? So it's exciting to see the sales cycle become much shorter. The lineup that we have, and this is what I'm going to get into and talk a little bit about, from strip chassis, E-Series, F-Series, and of course school bus as well. Ford factory warranty maintained, no loss in horsepower, torque. We actually have to detune it. Fun fact about propane, it's 105, 110 octane. So Jack Roush's daughter, Susan, drag race is 1,000 horsepower Ford 5.0 Coyote V8 Mustang. And then Amerigas fills that up with the same fuel that goes to grill the hot dogs and keep your house warm, right? So propane naturally is incredibly powerful. So we do have to tone it back. So we want to make sure that the horsepower and torque is consistent with what Ford has on the 6.8 V10 and now the 7.3 V8 that's available. Also, very bottom is most important, the low NOx, right? Near zero. We're looking at 0.05 and 0.02 NOx, grams per brake horsepower hour compliant. Gets a lot of grants, funding, especially the competitive grants. It gets us to the top of the list with that, and only takes just a simple catalytic converter to be able to make that. No extra ancillary devices or added components. So let's dive in and see what we have here. E450, real quick, we're going to breeze through these. Whether this is Schwann's or this is a paratransit or a box truck, right, for with a refrigeration unit on it, we can handle it. The way that this goes with fleets, whether it's municipality, school district, private, public, the way that you currently build your vehicle, you can do it the exact same way. Wheelbases, all of it. The only thing that we would ask is that you put the Ford gaseous prep package into it. And then we have a ship-through code, depending on what body upfitter it goes to, Redding, Knapheide, Morgan, Mickey, whatever the case may be. It gets put into that traffic. and the body gets built back into Ford traffic to the dealer and gets delivered to the customer. So no different than what you're seeing on current conventional fuels. We already talked about this with David, with the F450, 550, a variety of different tank modifications, saddle, aft ag, you name it, we can build it. And as you can see here, quite a few different bodies that are available. The F650, 750. I talked about this earlier with the scissor lift. That's one in the bottom right. That was a huge market to penetrate into, because if you look at, gosh, reducing emissions, the airport is definitely the place to start. You want to talk about the emissions that are pumping out there, but making a huge dramatic impact for these engines that are idling most of the day because they need to be able to provide catering services. We were taking 96% NOx out of it, right? With compared to their diesel counterparts. So pretty exciting, and we're able to meet the range along with it. This is one of my favorites, especially now that the propane industry itself, the end users like Amerigas, are running these in their fleet, right? So being able to get out of all the complexity with diesel and still have the horsepower, the torque, and the range associated with being able to get the job done. The strip chassis, I know he had alluded to the UPSs, the FedExes of the world. This is the chassis that we use, right? The F53, F59 stripped chassis. A variety of wheelbase configurations, and even trolleys. If you go to Laguna Beach in California, you'll notice that their Laguna Beach trolleys are all running on propane. So we do a lot, and Ford does as well, not just with delivery and beverage companies, but we also do a lot with the trolley system. Just a couple slides real quick about fueling infrastructure. I love that David gave a great presentation, but the ease of installing fueling stations cannot be overstated. It's the best part. There's no emissions. If you look right here in this slide in front of the diesel, that's not good, right? EPA slaps you for that. They got kitty litter down. They got the nickel, dime leaking, dripping onto the ground, contaminating. Propane, you don't have to worry about any of that, right? And now with the Stably Quick Connect, no gloves, no eyewear is needed, and virtually no emissions are escaped. Scalability, right? We can do a 18,000 gallon tank. We can do 4 1,000 gallon tanks as the fleet grows. Very scalable. You got your diesel tank, your propane tank, your gasoline tank, all on the same island. And because it's a liquid, put in your fob key and it tracks it exactly the way, which you'll need it, right? For the 36 cent per gallon tax credit that the federal government kicks back for propane. The bottom right, you can see clean install. Takes up a parking space. And like David said, 8 to 12 gallons a minute, it's going to be your fastest fuel that you pump through. So moving forward, this is the one I would like to highlight too, because with Boston, it started with the school district. They actually have a bobtail that fuels all their diesel and their propane vehicles in the yard. They don't even have room, as you can see, for a fueling station. But that trickled down. The City of Boston Department of Public Works added commercial trucks to their day-to-day operation, and they put a 2,000 gallon station right down there. And what's exciting is, I know it doesn't say Amerigas, but it will one day, is that they wouldn't allow gasoline or diesel, but they would allow propane because it doesn't contaminate water, soil, and it's very, very clean. And the EPA loves it. So this is the part where I wanted to give a little bit of a presentation walk around, and I know we couldn't do this in person, but I wanted to be able to share a quick video of one of our F-Series trucks. Bear with me 1 second. How's it look?
Looking good, Derek.
Hi, welcome to Roush Cleantech. My name is Joe Rudolph. I'm responsible for commercial fleet sales, and I'm here to introduce to you the all-new Ford F650 750 equipped with the 7.3 liter V8 engine powered by our fuel system on propane autogas. Since 2010, we have been working closely with Ford Motor Company to design, develop, and fuel systems operated on propane autogas for the commercial lineup class 3 through 7 vehicles. Propane is an excellent replacement for a traditionally diesel-powered vehicle for medium-duty applications. It offers a much lower total cost of ownership without compromising your go-to-market strategies. So behind me, I have the F650-750 chassis cab equipped with one of 3 different tank options we offer at Cleantech. This is actually a dual saddle mount tank configuration with 74 usable gallons. It's our latest development that offers extended range up to 380 miles. So since 2010, we've been working with end users and outfitters to really understand end users' applications, and we've been able to improve our design so that we occupy the same envelope of space that a diesel tank would require and substitute it with a propane tank so we don't compromise the go-to-market strategy for the end user. The all-new 7.3-liter V8 Ford engine still maintains 350 horse, 460 foot-pounds of torque when operating on our propane fuel system. In addition to maintaining Ford factory performance values, we also maintain EPA and CARB compliance, so these Ford commercial vehicles can operate across all 50 states while also being serviced across Ford's nationwide dealer network. Ford's 7.3-liter V8 engine powered by our propane fuel system offers much less complexity than your diesel alternative. Our fuel system only requires the replacement of 2 fuel filters, and that's every 50,000 miles. So in summary, we have a strong OEM partner with a purpose-built engine for our propane autogas fuel system that runs on a clean, domestic, and available fuel source. We provided 3 different fuel tank options for the various business requirements you have and have been able to do that while maintaining the Ford factory warranty of 5-year, 100,000 miles. We really appreciate your interest in our product and its requirements, and we encourage you to contact us with any questions, comments, or concerns you may have with our fuel system or the integration of your contribution to the end user. Thank you.
So pretty cool stuff. I mean, I can't, nobody can do it better than Joe Rudolph. But one of the things that he did talk about, and in closing, I'm going to bring my slides back up, was with regards to maintaining that Ford factory, warranty. It can't go stated that. Let's see if this will. And we're back. Or are we seeing notes?
We're seeing notes.
I love it. I love it. So with regards to here it is. That's better. With the is that any better, or is it still sharing notes?
We're good to go.
Okay. So with regards to the QVM and QCM status that we have at Ford or at Roush with Ford Motor Company, it gives us a lot of flexibility to be able to do things that really no one else on the planet can do with Ford. They give us complete total access to their coding and calibrations. So contrary to a lot of belief, propane is a completely different fuel than gasoline. Everything is electronic now. The electronic control modules, the ECMs, the PCMs, and they have to be optimized and calibrated to be able to fit propane. Back in the old days in the carburetor days, it was aftermarket systems ruled until they got into cold weather, and then they didn't. And what's changed is our liquid injection technology and the fact that Ford allows us access to their control modules to be able to optimize it to run on propane. So that delayed start that you saw with David, that's by design. That's not a timer. What happens is when he turns that key to the ignition to start, goes through a flush cycle. There's two working.
I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt right quick, but I just wanted to just show a picture right quick if I could, because I just had a school bus pull up here to my station, and I just want to show a quick video of the fitting right quick. That's on the school bus. I was kind of worried they'd call me. We normally go to them to fill, but they were not there on the lot to fill the day we came yesterday. So they've come here. So basically, you can see the fitting that I was showing earlier. So this is basically a school bus that just pulled up to the same place. So that's all I wanted to show. Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, and I'll flip back to you, Derek. All right.
Yeah, no, that's it's exactly what we need to say is actual the live. Gosh, look at you, David, taking care of everybody on and off the screen, man. Bravo, bravo. Um, so, anyways, all that to say is when you look at choosing and going out on a limb with alternative fuels, and the reason why a lot of these Fortune 500 companies have chosen to go with propane and chosen to go with Roush is the OEM support and service that comes along behind it, and the trust that what they're getting is something that's not going to be tampered with or hacked or something aftermarket. So we look at emissions, and we're pretty proud of this, not just from the low NOx and the 0.05 and 0.02 certifications that we have to get to near zero for harmful emissions. We're also doing really great in greenhouse gas emissions as well, right? So across the board, it's about 70% cleaner than what the federal standards are. And if you want to see something that's kind of scary, is in 2027, they're dropping those NOx federal limits way low. So right now it's 0.2. In 2027, it's going to be 0.02, right? So if you think they've been adding a lot to diesel engines and ancillary devices, just get ready for what's going to happen in 2027. Good news is we're already there. We didn't have to add one single thing. That's just how clean propane is. So as we move forward, I'll wrap this up here pretty quick. Turnkey solution, like I talked about, body upfitter, ship through code, service warranty, over 700 service locations, 4 dealers, independents, mobile service companies have reached out to us, and we're working with them. We have a full in-house government affairs staff that helps with grant funding and hiding, just like Ben and his team do at Palmetto. So we all work together on that. When I talked about the after-sale support, this is the pit crew, and nobody has a better one than Roush, I can promise you that. Service parts, even with engines that have been surrendered, like the 4.6 and the 5.4 that we've been a part of in the past. We're going to support those for the next 10, 20 years. Same with the 6.8 V10 that we've put out on the road, and even with the 7.3 V8. We've got call centers, case management, warranty, field service, training, technical publications. And then with COVID, we've actually gotten really, really creative with our Zoom and virtual trainings that we offer in tech tip videos. We've got the country covered, and we're adding more and more every single day with the more deployments. We get an order, we immediately go out, put a 30-mile circle around where that deployment is, and we make sure we have multiple service centers that are taken care of those customers. We have inventory that's available on the ground. We know that there's a lot of commercial municipalities and private fleets that are out there that are looking for chassis, and we have those available. If you're interested, reach out to us. We have some partners across the country that have these in stock, and we can customize it to the need of the fleet. In summary, robust, proven, ultra low, near zero emissions, EPA CARB. It's available, it's domestic, incredible savings. We didn't even touch on some of the savings that some of these fleets are seeing from fuel, but also in maintenance. If you have any interest, please reach out to us at Roush. Can't thank Amerigas enough. Great partner. Ben, thank you and your team. It was great meeting you at the Champion Clean Energy Award for that young man in Greenville. And if you guys need anything else, please free feel give me a call. Thanks, Ben.
All righty. Thank you, Derek. Fantastic presentation. I think you really highlighted what Roush Cleantech offers for fleets who are looking for this transition. And like you said, you're not going to be left out of the cold. You know, even if your technology isn't, being manufactured currently, there's still that product support, which is very important. As we see as some of these new technologies emerge, these, products sometimes drop off on product support. So it's always, important to keep that connection. That's really great. And I also wanted to highlight, I think, that 7.3, that's the newest engine out of Ford, if I'm not mistaken, and their largest one. So having a 70% reduction in emissions over the standard is really something.
Yeah, no, it is. Ford has always done a really good job at being ahead of every emission curve well before the deadline, and the fortune favors the bold, right? So that's why Ford is the leader when you look at alternative fuels, because they lean on their QVM partners like Roush and others to be able to offload that engineering and technology service, but still being able to keep everything intact from a warranty. So, and when we talk about technology, this is one thing I didn't mention, telematics, right? You said it earlier. One of the nice things that we've done, and we're piloting it with fleets all over, Nestle, Schwann's, is with that OBD port, we actually are putting in a dongle inside there, progressive, very similar to them. You put one in, it tracks your rates, and then you get a better insurance if you brake the right time and accelerate the right time. So we're doing the same thing. And what's exciting is it's catching mistakes and catching, issues before they happen. So we're targeting three things: the engine, transmission, and our fuel system. So we're getting a ton of data, and we can read it because that's what we do at Roush. We've been given the Rosetta Stone of Ford Motor Company's coding language. And when we see something, let's say pick on fuel pumps, for example, when we see a trim levels, getting outside the realm of normal capacity, it flags us. So we could be able to say, ooh, hey, Nestle Waters, unit 123, we're noting some inconsistencies with the fuel pump. We're going to send you one overnight. Don't fill it up with propane, and we'll fix it before it fails. Same thing with the engine transmission to be able to help and get ahead of that stuff. So nothing new, right? The trucking industry has been doing it for a while, but we want to be able to add that next level of service to a lot of these fleets. So, pretty fun stuff.
Awesome. That is some great news. And so I know that we're approaching the end of here, and I don't see any questions in the chat. But I would like to say thank you to all our presenters today. Fantastic work, showing off, on site at a working location, some vehicles, especially a vehicle working in a municipality currently, as well as that Class 7.3 liter truck. So I just wanted to wrap this up. This is being recorded. We'll post it on the South Carolina Energy Office YouTube page so you can find it there and use it as a resource. We'll also be sending out a follow-up email to everyone registered with all the information and contact information for both David and Derek in case you need to reach out to them. So just want to say again, thank you to everyone for attending. We look forward to hearing from you about integrating alternative fuels in your fleet. We think they're a wonderful thing, and we would love to have your participation. So thank you, everybody.